Okie dokie. And we will get going. How has everything been this week? Practicing. I haven't had many videos in.
No, I'm awful.
Okay.
To record. I keep meaning to, and then suddenly it's like 10 o'clock at night and I'm very tired. She's actually been quite good this week, including on walks. It seems like maybe the cogs are starting to turn. We had one today where she totally ignored me for a smell. But even sort of coming away from other dogs and stuff, which never happens, so that's nice.
Good.
So yeah.
Cool. I mean, you don't have to send videos in. It's not compulsory or anything. I won't come around to people's houses and berate them or anything. I just want to make sure that you know that the option's there to make use of. So that's all. But if things are going swimmingly anyway, maybe there's no need. So that's cool. How about you, Abby? I know last week they were a little bit mischievous. So how has it been this week?
So I've been making a massive effort. I like the treat party thing. And I've been taking out higher value treats with me. And I actually go out on my bike first thing in the morning for a couple of miles with them. And I've been stopping as soon as I see her checking in with me or just starting to look at me. I've clicked and given her lots and lots of cheese and frankfurters.
So has she been checking in more? Have you noticed?
Yeah, definitely. And then she got wind of a deer just before the bit where I normally put them on the lead at the bottom of a field, but stupidly she didn't realise the 3 deer went across the field to the left, and she went galloping all the way over this growing wheat field, yapping and yapping and yapping, really speaking, and I just didn't call her at all. I just waited and waited and waited very patiently, and then when she started coming nearer me, every time she sort of stopped sniffing and looked, I clicked, and she didn't come completely, but she looked at me and then came a bit closer, and then she just came up to me, and I made a big fuss of her, and
perfect.
So I've really taken on board a lot of the things.
Yeah, it sounds like you have. Yeah, great. So it's fabulous that she's checking in more, because that's what we want. You did the right thing and not trying to recall her when you can pretty much guarantee that
it's going to be pointless.
It's going to be pointless. Well done for clicking and marking when she was looking at you. I know she didn't come right up to you. I might be in those circumstances tempted to throw the treat toward her just to see. So I know normally
I did try that, but she was still in that mindset where treats weren't interesting, although the click made her more interested in me, which seems funny because I did try chucking the treats and she wasn't even looking at them. She was still
okay. Yeah, so I would have thrown the treats as like a way to gauge whether you were going to be able to get her back. So I would have done exactly the same thing. It doesn't surprise me that oh, Abby, are you having trouble with your connection? I think. Anyway, we'll carry on. It doesn't surprise me that the click made her.
Apparently, I have.
Oh dear.
Have you lost me?
Oh, we did lose you for a little bit, but you're back.
Dear. Okay.
Yeah, I think your connection is a bit iffy tonight, but don't worry, we'll carry on. And yeah, maybe when we're not all talking at the same time, it'd be easier for you anyway. But I think you handled that perfectly, the way that I would have handled it. Okay, so I'm going to put you both on mute. She said really confidently.
Can you just?
Don't know what's going on with Abby. We will carry on, Harriet. So I'm going to share my screen. Okie dokie. So our first exercise is not very, it's not a good name. Let's just put it that way. I'm not very good at thinking up names. But we are moving on the hand touch a little bit. I've got no video for this either, so I apologize for that. So I want to warm them up. I want to get some movement in with the hand touch. So sometimes the hand touch can be a little bit static. So let's warm them up with some play, either with food or with toys. So when I talk about playing with food, you can lure them around as if they're tugging on a toy, but you've got food in your hand for them to follow instead. You can toss food on the floor for them to chase, and then they come back for anything to get some movement in. Then I want you to do a couple of simple hand targets. So just clicking as they touch your hand, throwing a treat on the floor for them to go and get. Once they've warmed up a little bit, what I want you to do is to add a little bit of restraint to the hand touch. And by that, I mean, you're going to hold them back from the target. And what I'm looking for is them straining to get to it. So some dogs don't like being held back. Either they panic about it, or they're really polite and they don't pull into that pressure. So I often find it's easier if you apply that pressure to their chest and press back their chest. They are much more likely to lean into that, because you might have spent an awful lot of time teaching them to not lean into pressure on their collar. So I want you to just teeny bit of pressure on their chest. When you feel them leaning in, and then you're going to put your hand target in front of them. When you feel them leaning and trying to reach the hand target, but you're holding them back, you're going to let go of their chest so that they launch themselves forward and bump your hand. You're going to try and mark, whether with the clicker or a verbal marker. You both use verbal markers, actually. So you're going to mark as their nose touches your palm, just the same as always. I've added a little extra here. We're not going to do that tonight. But what I end up doing is holding them back, or getting somebody else to hold them back if I have a handy husband, and offering my hand touch, and then telling them when to let them go. They come running into the hand touch, they do the hand touch, and then I take off. I'm not a gazelle, so it's not a fast takeoff. And I run away a few steps, and what I'm looking for is for this chasing. Because often our recall fails around things that they want to chase. And if I can convince them that we can have chasey games, then it's much easier for them to make that decision to come back to you, because they might get a chasey game. And they always win when they chase you, and they don't always win when it's a deer or a bunny or a squirrel. So we're going to give this a go. So I just want you to warm up with some play and some movement, food and toys, doesn't matter which, then a couple of hand targets, and then you're going to hold them away from your hand target. As they lean forward, you're going to drop your hand from their chest, and they're going to bump your hand target. Let's give it a go. So let's start with you, Harriet. You're going to have to unmute yourself. It looks like it's not letting me unmute you. That's it. You're unmuted now. Perfect.
Okay, so I just want her to like chase a tree.
Yeah, I just want her moving so that she's not, you know, bum on the floor. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Just want her moving around. Don't forget to give her the treat so she doesn't give up. Yes, lovely. That's it. I like the waggy tail and the moving around. Super.
Get it.
Get it. Lovely. Okay, so now I want you to do a couple of normal hand targets. Oh, we've got confused mum.
Touch. Good, yes.
Good, lovely. Do another one of those.
Touch, yes.
Yes, good girly. And another one, just so she's clear.
Touch.
Oh.
Excuse you.
Oh.
Sprite. Touch, yes. Good girl.
Lovely. So this time, probably position yourself so that you're almost next to her, facing the same way. You're going to hold her back with one hand and place your target hand in front of her. I know you need like 1,000 hands.
Yes.
Yeah, that would do. So you're just going to place your left hand on her chest.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're going to put your right hand in front. You can give your cue, and what I want is for her to lean into your hand on her chest, and then as you feel that pressure, you're just going to drop that hand so that she can dive forward to your target.
Okay.
All right.
Move around. Okay. So left hand on the chest.
Yep. That hand in front. Oh, she's been so polite. Okay, just cue her. Oh, yeah. So as she does that little lean, I want you to let go so that she can do the target. All right. Yeah, let go. Oh, so as soon as you feel any movement forward, because she's far too polite for this game. She's like, oh, this is weird, mum. This is super weird, mum. Yes, good girly. So for her, because a lot of our games coming up use pressure, either to get you ahead so that you can get some distance, but also because when we push them back, they're much more likely to push forward. And so it gives us that speed that we were talking about last time that we wanted to see from her.
Yes.
I would probably say for you, we'll go back even another step, and I would just hold food out in front of her.
Okay.
Hold her chest. When she leans forward to get it, just drop that hand on her chest and let her get the food.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. The way you hold the food is going to be quite important. I don't want her to accidentally think that it's a take it game, so that she, does all of that. That's not for me. I know this game.
Yeah.
So I'd hold it like between your fingers in like a pincer thing rather than a flat hand and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Or at least the way that you would normally give it to when she's allowed to take it.
Yeah.
So that it's clear. Okay, I'm going to mute you and unmute Abby. Okie dokie, Abby.
Oh, I can't have treats in my hand, can I? This is where it gets complicated.
It is where it gets complicated, yeah.
He's a good girl. He's a good girl.
Lovely. That's it. We just want some animation and that tail going, and yeah, lovely, Abby. Well done.
Right.
Super. Good. She's all over this. Yes. And you can see that we get a faster response having done some little bit of play. So they're just a little bit snappier with their behaviours.
I'm going to just have to put some treats in the other pocket, otherwise I won't be doing the other hand. Sorry.
That's all right.
Bad.
That's all right. Yes, good girly. Yes. Right. So now I want you to put.
Can I hold her from the front to do it? Do I have to go behind her to hold her?
No, you can do it from the front. Whatever she's going to be comfortable with, because this does feel weird a lot of the time to them until they get used to it. Yes, good girly.
She operated then. I pushed my hand towards her.
Yes,
Not quite getting my hand.
No, but she's getting that forward movement, and that's what I want. So as soon as she moves forward, drop your left hand. Yeah, clever girl.
Oh, hang on, sorry.
She's like, let me at it. Bloody hell, woman. Yes.
I'm finding it really difficult to coordinate dropping my hand at the right time.
So to help you out, because Heidi's all over this, I would do the same thing as I said to Harriet, just holding food out in front of her so that as you feel her push forward, you get used to dropping that hand on her chest.
Okay.
So you're going to hold her back.
Yeah.
As she leans forward for the food, you just drop that left hand.
Yes, I'm finding it's like going to Zumba. I'm finding it really difficult to make my hand do what it's supposed to do.
That's it. Just wave it in front of her. She's being really polite, so make it really obvious that she can have it. Yeah, drop that left hand. Yeah. So instead of worrying about clicking or anything, just practice dropping that left hand.
Okay.
And that's like her cue that she can go anyway.
Okay.
It does take a little bit of practice. My dogs are really rude and get quite excited about being pushed backwards, as you'll see later on in some of my training videos. Lean, lean, lean. Drop that hand. Yeah, drop it. Good. It works better also if they're standing. So if they're sitting, it takes an awful lot of effort to throw yourself forward against that pressure.
Maybe it'd be better if I did it over the back of her head.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. And sometimes it helps if you have a second, that's better. If you have a second person who's just holding them from behind around their chest and then just lets them go.
Okay.
If you can convince one of your family to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's exercise 1. Exercise 2 has a little bit more movement from you. So I don't know whether you played sports at school or whenever. I played a lot of team sports at school, and this exercise just reminds me really much of those drills that we used to do in like netball and hockey, where you'd try and misdirect your opponent, so that you'd pretend like you were about to go in one direction, dig in and fly off in the other direction, when I was much fitter and fleet of foot. I like playing this game with my dogs because it keeps keeping an eye on you a lot of fun, because you're making short, sharp movements, which they really normally quite enjoy. And what you're really teaching them to do is to follow you wherever you go. So I'm going to say intention matters with this. So you can't be half-hearted about it. So if you just kind of take a step in one direction and they, you know, they're just going to mooch with you, and that's fine. You can totally reinforce that. And for some dogs, you might need to be a little more subtle about it and quieter about it. But many dogs prefer fast and furious. Either way, you kind of have to be committed. So although we want them to catch you, I really want you to try and get away from them. Even if you're only going to take one step, I want you to make that a sudden movement, even if you then immediately stop and wait for them to catch up with you. So we're going to start with a single bounce in one direction. So it is just like a one step in one direction. You're going to mark and reinforce with either food or tug, or some other play, but tonight food is fine for them moving with you. And then you're going to bounce back in the other direction, mark and feed as they follow you. Them just vaguely around you, following you is perfect. They don't have to be in directly in front of you or to the side. We're not looking for the perfect heel position or present or anything. I just want them following you. So if you move to the left and they take a step with you, that's good enough. You're going to bounce backwards and forwards as they get the idea. you're going to add in extra bounces before you mark and reinforce. So instead of just bouncing once in one direction, you'll bounce once and then bounce back the other way. If they're staying with you and you're not exhausted, I want you to do a couple of bounces as if you're trying to fake them out, and then I want you to take off. I know you can't do this in your rooms right now, but when you're practicing this outside, you're going to take off and try to get away from them. What I'm looking for is that they take off after you to catch you, and you would mark as they catch you up. And I tend to then reinforce in kind of heel position by the side of me. So I do have video for you of me and my dog on our patio the other day. So this is Fraggle. She enjoys a good tug game, so that's what I've used with her. So it's one bounce in one direction. She comes with me. She gets the toy. So that's all I'm looking for, is that as I prance around like an Egypt in front of her, she's following my every move. Ha ha ha, I totally faked her out. So that's all I'm looking for. And I really like it when I do manage to fake them out and they head off in the wrong direction because they were expecting me to take off, and then they really have to dig in and chase me, because that's what I'm really looking for, that really fast return to me. So let's have a look. Harriet, do you want to give this a go first? You're going to have to unmute yourself. I don't know why it's not letting me do it. Sorry, it's a bit of a pain.
That's all right. I don't know why mine's doing it either. I've probably got some weird setting on or something.
So just bounce in one direction. She follows you, mark and treat.
Yes.
Yes, lovely. And probably because she's got stuck in a sit, I'd throw the treat on the floor for her though, yeah, because she's gonna sit in front of you. Yes, good girly. Yes.
Yes.
Super.
Yes. Yes.
Don't kill yourself in your slippers. On your slippery floor.
Yes.
Yes, beautiful.
Yes.
Lovely. So you get the idea, and I think she's quite enjoying that game, judging from the tail action.
I try it when she's not always listening to me on a walk to sort of run away so that she'll come with me.
Oh, so this is the same kind of idea.
Yeah.
Once you've got this, I didn't put it in the video because I cut it short, but what I tend to do in all of these games, once I've got them with me and they're chasing me and they're as fast as they can be, I chuck in the recall as they're coming up to me. And that's how we practice the recall cue.
Okay. So I'd bounce away and say either whistle or say here.
Yes, absolutely. So when you are convinced that she's going to follow you, she's going to be sprinting towards you with all her might, I stick in that recall cue because I want to associate it with her coming in fast and hot.
Okay.
And that's what I tend to do with all these games.
Okay.
To get my recall cue practice in. Perfect, well done. Okay, we're going to move on to Abby. I'm going to unmute you. Are you ready?
I am, but my booster keeps going off, so I might disappear.
Okay, if that happens, we'll just carry on, and if you manage to get back, no worries, and if not, you'll catch the recording. Oh, we've got a toy. Yeah, let her have it. Let her win. Let her win. Let her win. Good, good, good. Proper tug in. Okay. Yes. Good. Good, good, good. Super girly. Yes. Good girl. Lovely. So, does she tug better out? Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's because she's only just got it. She does tug better once she started playing with it for a bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So I want you to make sure if you're going to use this for tug, like I did with Fraggle, she got a pretty good game of tug each time.
Okay.
Yeah. Not so much that she completely loses her head, but not just oh, you caught it, I'll have it back now. Either. It has to be, in some ways, food is easier for that, in that they get the thing and they consume it and it's all gone. Tug games, we tend to have to do them longer, which makes the repetition slower.
Right.
But you just need to make sure that you're reinforcing enough.
Okay.
Because if she doesn't feel like she's winning and she's getting the fun game afterwards, why would she bother following you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's nice. She's got some nice play and she obviously wants to chase that toy, which is kind of the basis of tug. So that's cool. That's nice. Okie dokie. We are gonna carry on. Blimey, I don't know where the time goes in these classes. I really don't. Skip forward. Right. Share screen. So this is another game where I push them backwards. For those dogs that are more sensitive than the dog that you're about to see, I don't recommend that you shove them the way that I do with Fraggle in this video. I would start with just a gentle press on their chest as you run forwards or step forwards. In this video, we're also in the village hall, which is really slippy, which means that I can push her back. And because she's really trying to chase me, it's that whole comedy cartoon moment where she's scrabbling and not going anywhere, which is why I've never redone this video, because it makes me smile each time. So the whole point of this is that your dog is chasing you down. I want them coming in fast and hot. Because I want to really build that speed in that recall, because if they immediately turn and run back to you as fast as they can, they have no time to think about other things that they might do on their way back to you. It's like ninja training. You need to be ready to run away at the more extreme levels of this. When you're doing this to start off with, you're just going to take a few steps. I want them to catch up with you and be reinforced quickly. You're going to stand with your dog beside you, both facing the same way, with your hand on their chest. You're going to push them backwards gently at first for those dogs that are all a bit, this is weird. And then you're going to take a few steps ahead of them. You're going to reward by the side of your leg as your dog catches up with you. I don't tend to worry about marking too much when I'm only taking a few steps. I just reinforce when they get there. Once you're getting further away from them, then I start putting the marker in as they get to me or as they're doing a really fast run. So either I'm marking for speed or position. Tug works really well in this game, and you'll see in the video that I present the toy right down by my leg for her to grab. Your dog does need to be skilled if you're doing this. If you present with it just dangling down, there is some skill involved for them coming up, turning their head so that they can grab the toy and not your leg. If your dog is struggling with that, then the best thing to do is, as they come up, present the toy horizontally with two hands on it to the side of you so that they can just come up and grab it, because it does take some skill to come in fast and grab the toy without catching your calf. It's something to be practiced as a separate skill. If your dog's worried about being pushed back, so that feeling of being pushed back, start by just touching their chest and then running forwards. So it looks like this. So this is Fraggle again. So I really shove her backwards. She can't catch up. And then she grabs the toy as she comes to the side of me. And then we have a proper game. And I'm already pushing her back as I take the toy off of her. It's a bit mean playing this game on the slippy floor, to be fair. So, as I said, a decent tug game when she eventually catches up, so that it's not just, oh, you grabbed a toy, great, I'll have it back. It needs to be a decent tug game if that's what you're using. If you're using food, then I would I would probably do a couple of pieces of food. So one, take a few more steps, another one, take a few more steps, another one, rather than it just be one piece and done. So, Harriet, you're going to have to unmute you again, I'm afraid. We'll have a look. Perfect. Super girly. Oh, she's like, that's not enough room for me to turn around in. Good girly. Yes, good girl.
I need more. I need to start further back so I don't run out of camera.
That's all right. Just take a couple of steps because she's a little bit like, what are we doing? This is weird. Yes, good girl. Yeah, now she's getting the idea better. Good. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you really want her to launch forward, I probably wouldn't ask for the sit.
Okay.
Because if you cue her for that sit, she's expecting to stay there for a while probably.
Okay.
So just, she can stand there. Go. Yes. Good girly. Good girl. So for her, she's one of those dogs that's a bit sensitive to being manhandled. Yeah, no stronger pushes back than that. And I'd probably be a little bit more gentle.
Okay.
Once they get the idea and they're like, oh, really? Really? You think you can do that? They become like Fraggle.
Yeah.
She didn't like being touched when we got her. So it doesn't take an awful lot to build it up to being able to fling them across the room. It does help that she only weighs about 11 kilos.
Oh, I'm jealous.
She's a very handy bag sized dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so Abby.
I'm going to try this with treats. I thought I don't think it's going to be.
I don't think you've got enough room to do the tug very well. I think treats is a good idea.
Ready.
Good girl. That's it. Lovely. Oh, bless her.
Trying to get to me quicker.
I'll just dive over the furniture.
She's a bit confused.
She is a bit confused. That's all right. Just use the treat to get where you need her. Lovely. Oh, I think you're frozen.
Oh no, that was a good one.
I could tell from the noise, but I couldn't see what happened. Yeah, I think you've died, Abby.
Can't get in the right place.
Don't worry. Oh, good girl. I like how she's prepared to launch herself all across your furniture. You might like that quite so much. I think that's great. I would be careful about manhandling her too much.
Yes.
get them in position.
Okay.
If they're worried about it,
Yeah, she doesn't
really
like it.
yeah, you don't really need to push them back in the first stage.
Okay.
I mean, I do that because you get more speed, but if we need to do it without shoving them backwards, we can. It's fine whilst they learn that this game is cool, and then you might just touch their chest and not push them back whilst you take off. The pushing back bit isn't essential. Hi, darling. Yeah, the pushing back bit isn't essential, and I don't want you to poison the game and make it no fun at all, and that she doesn't want to join in just because you're trying to get her in the right position and shove her backwards.
Okay.
Okay. Because otherwise she was all over chasing you. She likes the chasey games.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, good. Okay, so last game coming up. I nearly stopped recording then, that would have been bad. Can you see the screen? Yeah, good. Okay. So we're going to start doing recalls past a food bowl. Ooh. This is a way that I set things up at home where I have fewer distractions because they're used to them, so that we can practice recalls where they come straight to me without going off sniffing anywhere else. Their food bowls tend to be quite strongly conditioned, like they see the bowl and they want to go check out what's in it, which means that we can do this without food in it to begin with, and still know that it's going to be a somewhat decent distraction. You can do this completely on your own, and in the video you'll see how I do it when I have to do my training alone. It can be really helpful, however, to have a second person who does all the food bowl putting out and picking up and stuff for you. But it is totally possible to do this completely alone. So you're going to take a bowl, any bowl, but I like using their normal food bowls. You're going to pretend for the first stage to put food in it, but you're not actually going to leave food in there, so that if when you recall them, they do head off to the bowl, they're not going to find any reinforcement there. There's nothing to be had there. You're going to place it off to the side. So when you recall them, the bowl is going to be off to the side, and that means that you can control the level of distraction, because if they're finding it too hard, you're just going to place the bowl further away off to the side. So I say here, use a treat magnet. So if you're doing this on your own and you've placed the bowl, I use a treat magnet to move my dog away from the bowl. I can't remember if we've talked about treat magnets. What I mean by that is I place a treat on their nose and I just lure them with me, and they nibble on the end of the treat until I eventually give it to them. And it's just a way of me being able to move them, manipulate them and move them around. So I move them away with my treat magnet, and then I toss either that treat or a second treat so that I can get some distance away from them, and I back up. Once they've finished eating that treat that I've thrown on the floor for them, I give my recall cue. What should happen if I've set everything up right is that they come straight to me. I have a treat party, and then I cue them to go and get it, which for my dogs means you can go and have the thing that you've ignored. We go to the bowl. If there was no food in it, I add food at that point. If they do go to the bowl when I've recalled them, instead of coming to me, I don't do anything, even if there's food in that bowl. I pick up the bowl, we reset, I put it further off to the side, we go again. You could potentially try and get to the bowl first, but in my experience, that just makes your dog run there faster. If you've got a second person, they could cover the bowl or lift it up if your dog goes towards it. For some dogs, that can be quite aversive and be quite a devastating loss. And depending on how sensitive your dog is, they may or may not want to play this game anymore. So I'd probably do that once, maybe twice. If you've had to lift that bowl up twice, that means it's way too close and you need to set it up further away so that your dog can be successful. There's no point in just keep telling them, no, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. You need to explain what's the right thing to do. So move the bowl further away. I know this sounds really complicated. There are a lot of moving parts, but once you've done it once or twice, I promise it's not that hard. So this is me and Flint, who is food obsessed. So that's his treat magnet as I put the bowl down. God, that's loud. And this is me just moving him around with it. And then I throw a treat onto the grass. I back up so that he's going to have to come past that bowl. Put in my recall, treat party as he gets to me. And then we go to the bowl together. There's no food in there, so I add some food. So in this one, I actually put food in, but if he'd never done this before, I would still have an empty bowl and I would just move it closer. He knows I'm going to throw the food, so he's buggered off already. It's as simple as that. The hardest thing when you're doing this on your own is getting them away from the food bowl when you've left food in it, to be honest. So, have you got a handy food bowl or something that you can use? And we'll start with you, Harriet, if you want to unmute yourself. Brilliant.
So does the feed bowl still need to be in picture for you? Or
No. As long as I know whereabouts it's gone, it's fine. And you're going to leave it empty for these go-arounds anyway. You're just kind of going to pretend. Okay, so if you're going to put it near that chair by the yeah, cool. So as you place it down, stick a treat magnet on her nose. That's it. Lovely. And then toss that somewhere.
oh, shit.
Lovely. And then back up a little bit to those seats. Perfect. And then you're going to say, get it, or whatever your cue for things, go to the bowl together and drop some treats in there. Brilliant.
Oh, yes.
So the one thing I would change to make it easier for you is put the treat magnet on her nose before you place that bowl down.
Oh, okay.
That's my nifty trick. That's it. And then throw that somewhere for her. Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. Yes.
Super girly.
What's through when I eat?
And then off to the bowl together. Yay. So they're gonna get the thing that they've ignored anyway. As long as they come straight to you first.
Yeah.
Super girly.
Well.
Brilliant. Well done. So for you guys, I start moving it closer with no food first.
Yeah.
Until they're pretty much running over it to get to me.
Okay.
And then I would put boring food in it, move it all the way to the side again, bring it closer, more interesting food, and just build it up step by step carefully until I chopped out half of the video. But today Flint actually stuck his paws in the bowl, sent it flying as he ran to me. Because he's a fool. So I start this off with food bowls and food and treats. For other dogs, I might put toys in it. So with Fraggle, I used to put tug toys and tennis balls and stuff in it because they were bigger deals for her than food was. I also have stuffed animals that look remarkably lifelike, that look like squirrels, and I do it with those too. And then if everything's going swimmingly and they've really got this, I take the bowl out of the equation. So I might just have food on the floor, not in the bowl, and work it that way.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So, Abby, replace spotlight, unmute.
You might lose me.
That's all right. It's doing all right. So just stick a treat on her nose. Just draw her away from it. Lovely. Toss the food for her to get.
Honey, come. Good
Yes,
girl.
good girl. That was hard because she was nearly at the bowl and she
I
still came
didn't
away from it.
I set it all up wrong, didn't I? I went the wrong way.
Yeah, that's easily done. So, and then you tell her that she can go to the bowl. Perfect. Well done. I'm impressed that she came away from that bowl while she was looking at it hard. And then you're going to come towards us. That's it.
Honey, come. Good girl.
Yes.
Take it.
Super. Lovely. Do one more for me. Look at that.
Honey, come.
Super. So you've done it slightly different way, in that you got closer and closer to the bowl. You can do both ways. Whatever's easier in your setup, I guess. But I would probably do both. So I move the bowl. So I run the same track every time and move the bowl. And that's
Okay.
one way of doing it. I think it's slightly harder for them when you leave the bowl and you change your position so that they're running closer. That is slightly harder because if they're always doing the same behavior on the same track, that's a pattern that is easier for them to keep doing. And so the bowl just moves and it's kind of incidental. And then moving on to the bowl stays where it is and we're going to get closer to it is another level of difficulty.
Okay.
And I just kind of bounce around all of the different things. And if they end up going to the bowl, it's not a big deal. That just gives me information. Next time I'm going to make sure that we've got more distance so that they can be correct, have a treat party every time. Because the more repetitions you can get in where they're successful and get it right, the better your recall is overall. Wow. Okay. I've actually finished early, which like never happens. Just going to remove your spotlight, Abby. Are there any questions about the stuff that we've gone through tonight? No, Harriet, you're on mute if just in case you do have some questions. Wave at me. No? Okay. I feel a bit bad letting you go early, but maybe you'd appreciate that. Abby's like, yes, let us go, Kelly. Okay. Don't forget to send me your videos if you want to, especially at this stage when things get a little bit tricky. And there are some nuances to where to reinforce and how sometimes. So if you're practicing and you don't feel like you're making progress, get a video in, even if it's just 10 seconds worth of video. I can probably help you out. So do send them in. The stuff should be available online now. There's some extra games that we don't go through in class. There's normally 1 or 2 a week that we don't go through in class because you need helpers or something. So do check them out. Otherwise, I think that's it. I will see you next week. It's the last class next week, which this has gone really fast. So if you're worried by anything or you don't think I'm going to cover something and you've got a question about it, email me this week and I'll make sure that we cover it next week. Okay, take care. Have a good evening. Happy practicing. All right, bye.
Bye.